Everyone has habits. The things we do every day without really thinking about them. But what are habits really, and how do they form, and why do we do them? This video explores the answers to those questions. I have a habit of drinking tea every day in the morning. It's easy to think of habits in terms of the behavior that we are doing, right? That's the drinking tea. But a habit is really a brain process. Every habit is made up of two parts. There's the cue, that's the situation that we perform the habit in. And there is the response, that is the behavior that we perform. Now, our brain has learned to link these two things together, even though they might not have anything to do with each other. When the cue comes up, when the situation comes up, our brain just says, don't worry. You don't have to think about anything. You can just go on autopilot and conserve your energy. That's it. That's all a habit is. Now, the strength of a habit is just the strength of the association between the cue and the response. Our brain is trying to automate things all the time. And a habit is one of those automating processes. Some people think we do habits because of the rewards associated with a habit. But if you think about it, rewards and habits are kind of opposites. A habit is something that is driven from a situation happening before you perform the behavior. That's the situation or the context or the time that you find yourself doing the habit in. But a reward-based behavior is actually based on something that happens after the behavior. So it's the anticipation of something happening after the behavior that you do. And there's a study that illustrates this difference. Researchers took a bunch of people to the movie theater. Now, some people had strong habits of buying popcorn every time they went to the movie theater. And other people had weak habits of buying popcorn. So maybe they would get popcorn every once in a while, but it wasn't like every single time they went to the movie theater they would get popcorn. The researchers gave everyone in this study a big bag of popcorn to eat while they watched the movie. The twist was that some of the popcorn was fresh and delicious, and some of the popcorn was stale and terrible. Guess who finished all their popcorn? Both groups ate a lot of the fresh and delicious popcorn, but the people with weak habits ate less of the stale popcorn because it wasn't that good. The people with strong habits finished the popcorn whether it was fresh or stale. But everyone agreed that the stale popcorn sucked. The people with strong habits ate the stale popcorn because it was their habit. It wasn't rewarding, it wasn't tasty, right? Habits occur in spite of rewards or in spite of a lack of reward. Habits also have nothing to do with the goals that you have. So suppose I first started drinking tea because I thought it was healthy for me. And then later on, maybe I wanted to cut back on my caffeine and I want to stop drinking tea. Well, the habit doesn't care. There's nothing in your brain that is like, oh, well, he's changed his mind now, so I'm going to turn off this automatic process. But how do habits form? Well, there's still ongoing research in this area, but it seems like goals and rewards can play a role in beginning to get a habit off the ground. But there are other factors too, right? There is imitation, right? We tend to imitate what other people are doing in a social situation. There might be certain social expectations. We might have had to do something every day in the past for a while, and now we don't have to do it, but we still have that habit. Eventually, though, to become a habit, the cue has to start driving the behavior. Have you ever seen one of these reward cards before? These are the cards where, you know, if you go to a coffee shop and you buy 9 coffees, then you get your 10th coffee free or something like that. Well, some of the researchers that study habit formation argue that these cards are ultimately counterproductive. Now, the business wants to incentivize people to come to buy the coffee, but the cards emphasize the reward that they get after buying the coffee. So it keeps the reward very prominent in people's minds. But what you actually want to do, if you're a business, is to create habits in your customers so that they go to your shop and buy your coffee without even thinking about it. That's really good business. But the reward card stands in the way of letting that cue become the driver of the behavior. When you think about the bad habits that you have, it can seem like your brain is working against you. But all habits are essentially the same. The only difference between a good habit and a bad habit is a bad habit is one that you wish you didn't have right at this particular moment. Well, what about breaking bad habits and building good habits? Well, that is a discussion for another video. So if you don't want to miss that video, which should be coming out in about 3 weeks, you can subscribe and you can hit the bell notification button so you don't miss it. When I do publish that video, I'll put it in the description and in a pinned comment. In the meantime, you can let me know about your experience with habits, good habits and bad habits that you've developed in the comments below. That's it. Thanks for listening.